Just an update and apologize for the light conditions. So about this feeling of suffocation that I did report and others as well, there may have been actually several feelings of suffocation, several different feelings of suffocation. Also, I'm a bit tired now, sorry for this. So I did not experience this suffocation a lot later, I would say later month, 2 months or so. However, it did came back at very specific times. To me, it happens always when I wake up at night. So during the nighttime sleep time. And I just want to describe it first, and then I'm going to explain my conclusion to this point, what may cause this indirectly. We'll see several factors. So first I just want to describe this feeling of suffocation, because to me it's not exactly like a suffocation like someone is covering your face with a pillow or something like this, or cannot breathe at all. It's not exactly the exact same feeling. What I did feel is that it's just like, it's like something is sucking the life out of my body at that moment. So it also is coming along, I just try to align the camera a bit, it's coming along with a quite strong feeling of anxiety, but it's a different suffocation feeling that if you just try to hold your breath. It's something completely different. And it's difficult. It's more difficult than just the regular holding your breath feeling, that feeling of grasp for air. Something different, and I would say it's more difficult. And it always, in my situation, happens when I wake up. When this happens, this feeling, I feel everything inside my throat is very dry. My tongue is dry. Nostrils usually are fairly blocked and dry as well. It doesn't last very long. Usually I start drinking water. It may last a few seconds or a few minutes. But it's a very, very unpleasant feeling. Not because it's stressful emotionally. It's really physically unpleasant. Hard to describe. And I did mention this in other videos, that the primary mechanism that's triggering this feeling, in my opinion, is just a personal, uneducated, unmedical opinion if you want, is that this very intense dryness, nostril, throat, mouth, and perhaps it's going down to lungs, it's just simply fooling or confusing the neuron cells or sensory cells, which actually send the feeling or send information to your brain. In other words, I did explain this in another video, I'm not going to repeat this again. Basically, this feeling of suffocation, it's not necessarily a problem with your oxygen or carbon dioxide. It may be, but I believe this feeling, this sensation, it's really just the brain malfunctioning, because it gets the wrong signals from these neuron cells, which I say in another video, the regulation of our breathing, but also the sensation of not having enough oxygen. It's always an information, just electrical, basically neurons send electrical signals, an information that's sent to your brain, and it's the brain that's actually interpreting this feeling, and basically we react to the interpretation of the brain. Hopefully it's clear, my explanation. So in other words, we are just being fooled into feeling this suffocation, at least in my situation. I'm not saying this is for everybody with ENS. And it's like, if you want sort of a hypnosis or something like this, I'm not sure the word it's correct. It's really the brain, it's receiving the wrong signals from these cells, and it makes us having this reaction. Again, these neuron cells are all along the breathing path, nose, throat, inside lungs, and they are sensing airflow and other elements and sending a signal to your brain. And these neurons, like I say in other videos, because everything is so dry, the neurons need humidity to send properly those signals, communicate with brain. And when everything is so dry, nostril is dry, mouth is dry, inside the lungs it's too dry, it's not humid enough, those neurons simply no longer, it's just a dysfunction. Basically, they no longer work properly. I don't know what to compare this with. It's just like a radio that doesn't get the proper signals or doesn't send the proper signals. And the brain makes us feeling like there is some sort of a suffocation. It's not necessarily, again, the case. The chemistry of the blood may still be good. I'm not saying it's good, but may still be good. But we feel that sensation, which is very weird and unusual. These situations, to me, do happen from very specific factors during the day. So this is only one nighttime. When during the day, for instance, if I don't pay attention, I don't drink water every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, constantly. Not big amounts, just small amounts. For whatever reason, maybe I drive with my car, I don't pay attention. So this has to be very, very, very regular, this drinking water. Another situation when I spend time outdoors and it's a hot weather, warm weather, especially if I spend time in the afternoon or evening, maybe more than 20 minutes or so, I really pay attention now. I don't stay outside, I stay inside. Also, when I would make some physical work or something like this, inside, outside, that would also may trigger this sensation at night. Then I have this problem with food, which I will explain in a moment. Let me just see. Okay. So then there is also this problem with food. Some foods, literally, if I eat them in very small amounts, maybe I would eat 2 or 3 strawberries. It's really, I'm not joking. It's that small amounts that will trigger a lot of urination later in the day, but also urge to urinate. And this goes also for the slightest amount of sugar, the slightest, and I mean really slightest amount. It's crazy. It's really crazy. When I give an example, I don't drink alcohol, but I like to sip very, very small amounts of Baileys. So that's sort of alcohol with cream and sugar. And I mean really small amounts. If you know a shooter small cup, just maybe 1/3 that shooter cup. So it's, I don't know how much is 20 milliliters or so, perhaps less. That will trigger again later, about 4, 5, 6 hours later, and then from that moment for several hours, and usually happens every hour from that moment. So it's a very regular interval of intense big amount of urine, and also a strong urge to urinate when during this hour. So let's say I eat something sweet in the morning, again very small amounts, maybe 4, 5, 6 hours later I start having this urge of urinating every hour, and it's quite regular by the watch. Actually, what I do when I travel outside, I go do my groceries, or I meet my daughters in another city, I need to travel, I have everything timed by the hour. If I drive the car for 1 hour and I'm in this condition with the urge of urinating, I just know there is this petrol station with a toilet at that place, I'll give you more tips. Perhaps you need to, at some points, perhaps I'll carry a bottle because inside my car, because I have been in situation when I got stuck in traffic and I don't want to remember that hell. So I have no option but to pee on my pants. Totally, I'm just saying these things. Perhaps it's some people will laugh, other people will think it's just I'm going crazy or going weird. But these are really, really scenarios that happen to me and that I absolutely need to deal with these things. And there have been endless of these kind of adjustments that I had to do, and some I did share with you here in videos. Anyway, so I was saying about these foods that triggered this problem. Other foods, sugar, salt. I can give you an example also, nuts. I started eating a little bit of peanut butter, and this triggered the same problems. There have been other things that I don't really remember. Oh yes, anything with acidity, such as citric acid or something like this. And what's interesting about these reactions is that for some foods, I could eat small amounts. Usually I do this in early morning. I could eat them for 1-2 weeks and not having a reaction, and then the reaction for the urge of urination starts and never stops for as long as I keep eating that food. So there is sort of a delay reaction, which is even more troublesome to deal with, because at first you think, okay, maybe I can eat this food a little bit and it's not going to cause me this problem, but then 2-3 weeks later it starts and I no longer know which food would cause this problem. So yeah, we have to really think about these things. So again, anything with citric acid. Now let me wrap all these things together. So I said about this reaction to food with the urination, and I said about the suffocation feeling at night when throat, nostrils, lungs feel very dry. Well, first, all this urination, when it happens, it dehydrates the body. Not just dehydrates the body, but I did point this in a video or more. It removes urine. Sorry for maybe this sounds gross for some people, but it's really, I deal with this, and this is just, there is no way around it. Urine, it's produced by kidneys, which filter the blood. So basically the entire body blood, it's passing through kidneys. Think of kidneys just like a separator, a filter, something. And the kidneys will remove whatever it should not be inside your blood and will create urine with fluid from the blood. And in that urine, it throws away everything that's not good in your body. So basically, kidneys create that urine from the blood volume. And also, they create that urine because, again, there are elements inside the blood which needs to be removed from the body. But what this means is that increased amount of urine means decreased amount of blood in my body. This is one of the reasons I drink water constantly, because the blood cannot be really replenished, recreated that fast inside the body. And this decreased amount of blood, I did say in another video, it's causing plenty of other issues. And I believe that those moments that I was saying about suffocation and that dryness, those moments are strongly related, in my opinion, from what I've seen, with very low or lower than normal blood volume in the body. And when I say I go outside and I spend too much time outside on a warm day, maybe in the afternoon or evening, that causes the body to dehydrate and causes the body to lose even more blood volume. So the way my blood volume, if my theory is correct, the way my blood volume is lost, it's through this urination problem, but also because, just like I say in other videos, the lungs have been damaged by being dry for many years with ENS, and this damage actually it's causing the lungs, which are also filled with blood, to lose more humidity through the breathing. So basically, the body at this point is losing blood volume either through urination, or actually both through urination and through the lungs. The lungs again are filled with blood, and I'm not going to repeat the same explanation as in other video, but the lungs will start losing humidity, and this humidity, it's blood volume. It's not blood, but it's the water, the fluid that's inside your blood volume. So when the lungs are dehydrating because of maybe hot water or because of exercising or something like this, again the blood volume of the body is decreased. So this blood volume problem is the key of the problem at this point. It's happening both because of urination and because of lung malfunctioning, being damaged by ENS for 10-15 years. So these two elements are acting together, this loss of blood volume through kidneys, urine, and through lungs. And when it's getting so severe, too severe, then I get those moments of suffocation at night. Perhaps everything inside is so dry at some point, and those, sorry, I'm really exhausted, those sensory cells are sending the wrong messages to the brain, triggering this feeling of suffocation. Now, perhaps it's, yes, there is something that, you see, the reason I'm just crunching my ideas when I do these videos is I try to explain these things in the simplest and more easy to understand way, but at the same time is something somehow complex. Perhaps a pictogram, a drawing would have helped, but I just try to put the ideas in order in such a way so you understand easier. So on one hand, I have this problem with lungs, losing blood volume. On the other hand, there is this problem with kidneys, causing too much urine, also losing blood volume. And this loss of blood volume actually has in itself, on top of the suffocation feeling, has other side effects. So it's obvious when the body is low in blood volume. I think the human body has around 4 to 5 quarts of blood, or liters if you want, an adult. Depends on the size of the body as well. So when the blood volume is low, perhaps below a certain acceptable limit, or then there are other things that happen, and one of them, bad news. It's like I said in other videos, the intestine. So the intestine, the stomach and the intestine, it's what's extracting the nutrients from the food. So this is just normal. So when you eat food, it gets not really digested. It's more like acidic, and it gets, if you want, I don't know, it's a first step of digestion, but it's not really absorption by the stomach area. Then it passes into the intestine, and it's inside the intestine that the food gets actually transformed, and the nutrients from the food get passed through the intestine, get into the body, and get transported to the rest of the blood. Get into the blood and get transported to the rest of the body. And I did say this in another video, the intestine, you can search. I always suggest you look up and search on Google, even just Google AI. How does the intestine work? Does the intestine need to be humid? The intestine is surrounded by blood vessels, so it has to be very humid, specifically to transfer the nutrients from food through into the blood area. So if we lack, or I lack blood volume, then the intestine, it's no longer surrounded by enough blood. It's probably, that's just a theory, no longer humid enough, if you want. And I believe that what may happen is the simple, let's imagine, so you have the intestine, let's say it's round and has the intestine itself, it's all around, right? So this is a section, the intestine is long like this. So the material, I don't know what's the name for it, of the intestine is like if you want, a skin, so to speak, and the food passes from inside to outside into blood. So the food, the nutrients actually will pass through this skin to the mucosa of the intestine or so. And I believe inside the intestine, the nutriments would be protein, glucid, anything, all ingredients, all molecules are going to, basically the food is transformed from the food, the way the food is, let's say bread is transformed into molecules by the intestine itself, and then it's passed into the blood and sent to the rest of the body. So the intestine is really just like, from what I understand, perhaps I'm mistaken, but it's just like a machine, if you want, and really just the skin of the intestine. I don't know the name in English. So it's like a transformation factory that's taking the food and it transforms it into various molecules, various proteins, glucids, and so on, right? So my guess is that this transformation is no longer working properly in my condition when the blood volume is low, too low in the body. In other words, if I eat something, instead of being transformed normally in whatever molecules are, the proteins and all the other fats and so on, this transformation no longer works properly. There are two problems with this. First, I lost a lot of loss of body weight. I lost really, you don't see it well in this video, but I'm really, really skinny now, because obviously the body doesn't get enough protein or whatever elements from the food that I eat. But the second problem is, and this is again just a theory, I try to explain something, is that this transformation of food into nutriments, it's malfunctioning, and the actually resulting molecules are not molecules that's possible for the body to absorb them. The body, I mean the rest of the body. So basically these nutritious molecules should travel through the blood, through your veins and so on, to all the cells in your blood, in your body. So basically the blood is bringing nutriments to all your cells, hands, brain, liver, anything, right? And I believe that this transformation into nutriments, it's not working properly, and the resulting molecules, instead of being useful nutriments, useful by the body cells, the resulting molecules may be just, let's call this the wrong type of molecules. So imagine there are various molecules that result from digestion, but let's say proteins, perhaps there are several types of proteins, but the protein molecule, if it's not the right type that can be absorbed by the other cells of the body, if it's just maybe too long or too deformed because the transformation from food did not work correctly, then that protein is not absorbed by the rest of the cells of the body and stays inside the blood. And obviously there are going to be more and more damage, or the wrong size or the wrong kind of proteins that accumulate inside the blood from digestion. And this, if this is true, this brings the answer actually why some foods cause so much urination when digestion has been finished, or more or less finished. Like I said, when I eat some foods in the morning, several hours later, 4, 5, 6 hours later, I start having a lot of urination every hour. And I try to find an explanation for this. And one explanation that I could find is by the time the digestion has been going on for several hours, the blood is full with wrong type of proteins, wrong damage, who knows. And the kidneys, they feel this thing. Well, I was about to say they see this thing. They don't see, they don't have eyes. But the kidneys will react to these wrong proteins in the blood. And let's just say it humoristically, the kidneys are going to say, hey, what's these proteins in the blood? These are the wrong type, right? The body doesn't absorb them. The other cells cannot absorb these proteins. So I'm going just to throw away those proteins. And this may be a reason why the kidneys would start creating such an amount of urine, increase the amount of urine to try to really throw away, eliminate from the body the wrong type of proteins. That will explain that intense urination and the urge of urination as well. Again, all this is really just my theory, right? I'm just trying to find an answer and find the logic to this answer. Now, perhaps only a specialist, someone in, I don't know which doctors are good on the digestion, they may say, hey, this guy is completely wrong or maybe right. So again, because of low blood volume, if my theory is true, then first I don't get enough nutrients to feed the rest of my body, which explains perhaps why I'm so thin. I lost so many kilos. And secondly, it causes the kidney to throw away a lot of, again, blood, water from the blood volume, throw away a lot of urine, and dehydrate my body even more. So it's all kind of amplifying itself, right? So there's this problem with low blood volume, and then because of digestion, it's getting worse when the kidneys cause so much urine. It's an unbalance. It's you know, it throws something out of balance, and then it starts rolling like a snowball or something like this.